Welcome to We'll Fix It and Post Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Joe Sonnenblick. Don is still getting married. Don's getting married. I'm getting high. We love you, Don and Nikki, once again. It's October. It's horror time, scary time. I'm going to be reviewing a film that was suggested to me by a very trusted source. 1945's Dead of Night. I thought it was a Cavalcanti solo directed film. It's not. So it's a series of stories intertwined into one thing. And it's Cavalcanti, Charles Crichton, Robert Hamer, and Basil Dearden. And I also didn't realize it was primarily English and British actors and British writing, and I think it's based on some H.G. Wells novels, short stories, what have you. Again, I'm not going to, do the years because Don's not here. I'm not going to go over all that stuff. I'm just going to do this as a whole thing. It's going to be short. It's going to be real short. Might even be shorter than the last one. So this is starring Michael Redgrave, Mervyn Johns, Frederick Volk, Roland Culver, and one of the great names I've ever seen in my entire life, Googie Withers. Googie. Now, essentially, it's a horror film, but it's again not jump scares, no real violence. It's a psychological horror film, from what I gathered. It's right after World War II. This movie is made, and something really interesting before we even get to the film is Britain banned horror films in the 40s after World War II. And they feel they had a negative influence on British culture during the war. There's a little fun fact for you. Now, British film as a whole is definitely a country, an area, a geographical region of film I haven't really explored before the 1970s. I guess Mike Lee, Meantime, those films, Long Good Friday, those are the films I've really enjoyed. And then, of course, Guy Ritchie, who I love genuinely. Those are the films I've really, really, really enjoyed. Vera Drake was another one I really liked. That was 2006, 2007. But it's a place I don't go that often. Like, I'm in the minority on certain. Like, I think Michael Caine is a horrible actor. Sorry. I think he's a horrible actor. I didn't love Maggie Smith. I don't, there's a lot of British actors and actresses that I just don't understand. John Gielgud. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Olivier's fine. He transitions well. But there are just a lot of British actors, and even to this modern day, I don't get Cumberbatch and Redmayne, and to a certain extent, Kate Winslet. I mean, I like some Kate Winslet. I think she's very funny, but, just don't get it. Now, the idea behind this is a gentleman named Walter Craig. He arrives to a cottage, and he's greeted by the host. Craig's an architect, and he goes out to, it's like a reconstruction job. But throughout this whole film, the very beginning, you meet these like 6 or 7 people who are there, and they're sort of stuck there. And the whole film is based on dreams and stories and, I guess, mental illness. There's a story about a man who whose wife buys a mirror, and in the mirror he sees what the last person who owned the mirror saw, which is their old room, and he ends up killing the wife, and it correlates back. This is just one long Twilight Zone episode. The last story, which is the most interesting story, which I'm pretty sure Cavalcanti directed that because it looked foreign. It looked foreign with the ventriloquist dummy who comes to life and who is a piece of shit and ruins the life of the ventriloquist. And it all of a sudden, the dummy is the reason the ventriloquist murders the dummy and murders somebody else. And it's a story of PTSD. There's a race car driver who just before he gets into an accident knew that he was going to get into an accident and comes to this place. I don't know. There's a murder that happened in a place where these two people were playing hide and seek, Sally and Jimmy. It's another story. And it all comes together with this one doctor who is murdered by the main character, who's in this weird Groundhog Day sort of situation where he keeps waking up from the same dream and having to go back to this cottage. So at the end, he murders somebody. He's a serial killer. Is he in jail? Is he mentally ill? Is it? It's bad. It's not good at all. For the time, I guess it's very frightening and scary. But, every one of these is a Goosebumps or Twilight Zone episode. There is literally nothing to... And the fact that these motherfuckers are British. Maybe I'm getting old, man. Maybe I'm getting old and I can't handle it like I used to. And I can't handle it like I used to. It's boring and long. It felt like a goddamn Edith Wharton novel with a little twinge of something. The dummy thing is the best part. But again, that's a Twilight Zone episode, which I think was called The Ventriloquist Dummy. And it's a Goosebumps episode. It's the most famous Goosebumps book, Night of the Living Dummy. It's just what it is. And it kind of sucks. The ending is, I guess, cool. He comes back, and is he a killer? Because he's supposed to be a murderer, and this doctor's treating him. Are these people imagined? Are you understanding? What are you doing? Booga, 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 Like I said, I guess for 45, it's something revelatory. But 70... 80 years later? I don't even know how long. I felt like I was watching this movie for goddamn 80 years. It's just boring. It just doesn't do anything. And it feels, like I said, it feels like an Edith Wharton novel. And I can't remember the last time I sat and enjoyed a novel written by a Brit. Really, I really cannot remember the last time. It's rare. It's rare that it happens. And, it opened on September 9th, 1945, so the war just ended. I guess they made this movie kind of fast, because the war just ended. If the war just ended and you're not making horror films, it must have made this in like 4 or 5 months. And look, it's considered a classic. At the time, it's considered a classic. It's considered a revelatory horror film, psychological wise. But I'm not the one for this, I guess. I don't know because I waited for more. I kept waiting for more, and I kept wanting more, and more never came. Like, at least in The Wicker Man, which I reviewed last week, I'll put here or there or anywhere, there's a payoff. It's a giant payoff. It's a huge payoff. And The Wicker Man's got, and that's Scottish, and The Wicker Man's got sex and imagery and ritualistic hedonism and all that. You just got a bunch of fucking dry ass Brits talking to each other in a fucking inn, you know? These people could make a water park dry. I'm sorry, this was just not a good time. And this is a short ass review. I saw the practical effects were okay. Some of the practical effects were okay. And I was texting the person who recommended this movie to me while I was watching it. They hadn't gotten back to me yet. I'm sure they're gonna watch this review and just be so, like, I'm never gonna recommend anything that he watch ever again. Don't do that. I don't do that. I want you all to understand that we are different. We are different, and that's what makes film great. We are different. I mean, don't come to me with Deadpool or Marvel or anything like that, because then you're literally the lowest common denominator. I will not have anything to do with that at all. Don't come to me with Tarantino, that sort of stuff. Don't come to me with that. But horror-wise, so I guess psychological-wise, I'm gonna bump it up to where because this was real low. This was about to be like a 1.8, 1.9. But psychological-wise, for what it does, I'll give it a 2.4 out of 5. It's not good. I do not recommend this. I do not recommend you wasting your time on this. It hurt me to watch this. An hour and 40 minutes literally felt like 4 hours. And it's not like Ingmar Bergman, where an hour and 30 minutes can feel like 3 hours, but there's something ultimate at the end of that. There was nothing ultimate at the end of this. Just the credits. Don't know what next week's going to be yet. We're going to figure that out soon. But I don't know. I'm thinking we're going to do something real gory, because I've done 2 films that weren't gory. We're going to move into something else. So maybe we'll do Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Jake has told me to do Ichi the Killer, which came out in 2001, and I can't stretch it that far. If it was like 99 or early 2000, late 99, early 2000, I might be able to stretch it. But I'm not stretching to 2001. I will watch Ichi the Killer on my own, and I will give you a review, Jack. But that's it for me. We'll see you next week. Let's go, Mets. Enjoy your lives.